Hey guys, today we're gonna learn about core updates. So what is an update? Whenever we go to this particular section in the AzerothCore Wrath of the Lich King URL, we see that it has 14,603 commits, which is a lot. We see that many of them are being executed at the same day, 13 hours ago, 10 hours ago, 10 hours ago, 10 hours ago, 10 hours ago, 7 hours ago, 7 hours ago. And the day before, we see that it was 2 days ago and even 3 days ago in some cases. And I mean, it can go on and on and on and on. You get my point. So eventually down this line, there's going to be a gap between what we have, which can be maybe, let's do all the way here. Maybe this is our version. Maybe this. It was 2 weeks ago, right? So this is our version. And what we want to do is we want to take this version, like this core commit version that we have here, which is from 2 weeks ago, and we want to make it more recent. We want to make it up to date. Basically, this is called updating. And why would we want to do it? For starters, because if we go to modules, let's go ahead and go with, for example, the where was it? The Aluna module, for example. I'm gonna go with the Aluna module, and I'm gonna do view on GitHub. So we see that there are 22 issues. Let's see, the most recent one was from 2 days ago. All right, 2 days ago. Okay, this was updated 3 days ago. Okay, like it's very recent. We see that the method unit has root aura does not exist. Now, if we go and we check the latest revisions that AzerothCore pushed, it's basically, actually, let's copy this particular thing. It's on the second page. Oh no, it's from 2 weeks ago. Let's delete all of this. If we go here and hit next, we see that the first option from 3 days ago has aura type over here. It affects all of this. This is the addition of has root aura. Alright, it has been added to a file called unit.h. Okay, this is from 3 days ago. Now this issue report was from 2 days ago. That means that his revision, where he works on a local core that he pulled, and everything is fine until he wants to implement Aluna, compiling with the newest version of Aluna, and not the latest version of the commit. So what we can see here is the commit is basically this. This is exactly what went wrong, because this is the older version. This is the newer version. It's like a typo. Like it's basically this. It's like change this to this and it's done. But most people don't know how to fix that. They don't know how to check everything that it works fine. So this is exactly why we're gonna go through why should we keep everything up to date. First of all, syntax. I mean, it's very simple syntax. Like I said, looks like a typo. I mean, it's just change a few letters and it's done. Like this is the entire issue. Second of all, security updates. Security updates. It's very important because sometimes there were 2 major events that caused like massive panic. Something with auth. This application. Actually, it was with TrinityCore. Let's do TrinityCore GitHub. They have it on their security here. Denial of service 2020 and 2019. That makes sense. So these 2 commits are the ones that actually fixed like everything, all the issues that they had. Like it's it was like something very dramatic. Basically, it was something that people could, maybe it's not this, maybe it's something different. Yeah, I don't really remember. But anyways, it was something very dramatic where people could log in simply by knowing your username. You had to like patch your client and you could log in as someone else as long as you knew the username. So for example, if your username is just an example, admin, and your account name is admin, if I knew your account name and you had GM access, I could log into your account without typing any password, or I mean, I could type basically any password and it would work. This is why it was like a major exploit, that you could just log into GM's accounts. All right, so you were quote unquote safe only if you had the username different for your main character name on your server. It's a very big deal because you don't want anyone having owner access or admin access on your public server or even in your development server, because you can straight up delete everything that you worked on. Like everything you have is going to be deleted. Obviously only in game if you have backups and you have all the appropriate databases and tables in place, then sure, it's fine. But I mean, it's gonna suck if you don't and you're gonna spawn everything manually. But yeah, backups very important, but also keeping things up to date very important as well. It's the easiest fix to keep everything up to date. Not many people do that, and I understand why, because you build everything in your core, and it's like the most amazing thing ever. You worked on it for weeks, months, day, whatever. But one thing you gotta keep in mind is the fact that you don't retroactively miss on security updates. So one thing that we have, it's called cherry picking. That basically you go to AzerothCore and you go over here and you can see, you can like manually go over whatever updates you want to implement. For example, I want to implement this, all right, because I want the Luna module to work. So out of all the scripts here, I want only one. I cherry pick a single update. So I take this update and I just apply it manually. It could be automatically, it doesn't really matter. But I basically select what update I want. So I recommend doing that at least with security updates, even if you refuse to like update in the easiest and automatic way. So how do we update? That's very good. Right click. If you have all the software that I use, which is Git extensions, basically, and you can compile the server on your machine, that's fine. That's all you need. So Git extensions, pool, and you're gonna do OK. From here, you're gonna keep everything exactly the same. Origin, it already knows what is the URL because everything is documented like in all these files, all the CMake lists, all the JSON, all the whatever. Ignore all that stuff. Gonna do pool. It's gonna scan. It hasn't found anything already up to date. If it had anything, obviously it would work. If I mean, it could conflict with something, but at the moment it does not. So what we can do is one of two things. First of all, we can work exclusively with modules, which is what most of you will do. At the moment, we have only Luna and Transmog modules. You can work on custom scripts, which are placed in scripts here, and custom over here. You can work over here as well. This way it doesn't interfere with progress that you make if you do custom content. And the best way I think you could work on is by going to the build folder that you have, and you can just work with Lua scripts. It's that simple. Now the reason that the logic behind updating is you take all of these folders, all of these files, every single one of them, and you just see which files have been updated. But basically, you can see like all the files that have been adjusted and what has actually occurred in any single one of them. If it's a plus, it's an addition. If it's minus, it's a removal. And over here we see that it, like, quote unquote conflicts, because you remove one thing and then you add another. So that's a very common thing that you're gonna see. Basically with renames, that makes sense. Yeah, so what it does is basically go through all the things that you have, especially in this folder here in SRC. This is like where most of the magic happens, and the SQL data as well. So it goes through every single file, and as long as you have not edited anything over there that is not documented within AzerothCore over here, it will work just fine. But as soon as something is contradicting what AzerothCore has on its official GitHub, it's going to conflict for you as well. It's going to cause some issues. You're going to need to revert your custom changes, and you're going to need to implement the updates that AzerothCore have pushed manually in this case, or you can just find a way to make it automatic by removing all of your custom modifications. I don't really recommend it. It's not the best approach, but I mean, it is something to keep in mind. So what I recommend, do not touch the core, and if you do, know what you're doing. That's the bottom line. Whenever we apply, let's assume that when we did the pull function and it found some modifications, it pulled in a bunch of SQL files, because this is what it does basically. Importing pending files, like over here we see this. All right, this is like a brand new file. So what it does is it will execute things for you as long as you boot the server up. All you need to do, go to the server, go to the compiled build folder, go to bin, go to the folder, execute this, and you're good to go. All right. One thing to keep in mind, you're going to be asking, when should I generate a solution? Like, when should I use CMake and when should I not? It's very simple. If you update after a while, I recommend that you generate a new solution, because the logic of generating a new solution is very simple. If there's a new C++ file, okay, not a modification, if you add or remove an entire file, even a single file in this for this matter, even a single file, you're gonna need to regenerate the entire solution. If all you do is modify things, then you're good to go. You don't need to regenerate. Just recompile from the SLN solution. Just recompile and boot the server. That simple. Just make sure that you know that you're gonna need to recompile the server and not straight up go over here. It will apply a bunch of SQL stuff. As soon as you log in game, it could also crash, because some SQL files require backend support, require C++ support. Gonna keep that in mind. So if you do something, do it all the way, take the time to do it. And yeah, it's a long video, not too much content, a lot of advice mainly. So thank you and have a great day. I want to make a quick clarification. When we do database stuff, doesn't really matter if we have DBC updates, if we have patches, if we have a custom login screen, it does not matter. To the update itself, the update process itself, we do not need to worry about database unless we change the structure. So let's do Hey SQL. If we change the structure of, for example, item template, and instead of having entry, we're gonna call it ID. Yeah, it's gonna mess things up like pretty bad. But if we go over here and we add like a bunch of content, doesn't matter. It really doesn't. as long as you don't mess with the structure. And what I mean mess with the structure, I mean you don't rename or remove. You can add whatever you want, but you should not rename or remove any of the fields that you get by default. It's very important that you do not do that, and then you can successfully update at all times. Now, one additional conflict that can happen is, for example, I applied this module, right, transmog, and the one who made the module does not maintain it anymore. So what's going to happen is when I update the core, the transmog stays exactly the same, fitting for the older version, and now I cannot use transmog anymore because whenever I do, it runs into issues. So it is a possibility, less likely to happen with popular scripts, but it is something you got to take into account. Better know some developers who can help you out with it and update things for you. If you don't, I mean, you can just you can use AI to update things for you, but you're gonna need to know how to feed it the up-to-date information because most of the content there is up to date, like a few months, maybe even years backwards. So it might not be the best helper. The best way is just to know what you do and have someone to talk to about that. And I think that's pretty much it. So best of luck.